Carpet plants look alive, right up until the moment they give up. One week they seem fine, green and spreading, and the next week you lift a corner of that mat and the whole thing comes apart in your hands like wet tissue paper. Roots black, runners gone, and a bare patch of substrate where a lush green carpet used to be. If that has happened to you more than once, I want you to stay with me, because the reason almost nobody talks about is sitting right underneath that substrate, invisible, and fixing it takes almost no money and very little time. By the end of this video, you will know exactly why your carpet plants keep failing even when your lights are good and your fertilizers are dosed correctly. And the fix I am saving for the very last part of this video is the one most people never think to try. It sounds almost too simple, but every tank I have set it up in has held a carpet for over a year without a single bare patch. Stay with me. This one is worth finishing. Let's start at the beginning, because most hobbyists skip this part entirely. They pick out a bag of dwarf hairgrass, or a mat of Monte Carlo, or some glossostigma from the plant rack, drop it into a thin layer of aquarium gravel, point a light at it, and then wait. And for 2 or 3 weeks, it looks pretty good. Then it stops spreading. Then it starts melting. Then it dies. The gravel is the first problem. Standard aquarium gravel is basically inert rock. It holds nothing. It passes water right through, which sounds fine, but what that really means is that it passes nutrients right through too, straight out the bottom, where the roots can never reach them. Carpet plants are heavy root feeders. Monte Carlo, dwarf baby tears, a plant called Hemianthus calitricoides, glossostigma, and hairgrass all pull the majority of their nutrition directly through the root system. If the substrate has nothing to offer, the roots stop growing. And when the roots stop growing, the plant stops spreading. And once it stops spreading, it is already beginning to die. The fix here is so straightforward. You need a nutrient-rich substrate layer under whatever top layer you use. A capping system, that is what the planted tank community calls it, works like this. You lay down 2 to 3 inches of a porous, nutrient-loaded base layer, something like a dedicated aqua soil or a mix of organic potting soil and fine sand. Then you cap that with a thinner layer of sand or fine gravel, maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch, so the tank looks clean. The roots punch right through that cap, find the rich layer underneath, and they take off. That single change has saved more carpets than any other fix I know. But here is the interesting part. Even if you nail the substrate, there is a second invisible killer that will undo all of it. And this one trips up even experienced hobbyists. That second killer is light. Not too little light. Actually, the wrong kind of light distribution. Most planted tank lights are designed for mid-level and background plants. They are bright in the middle of the tank and softer at the edges and in the corners. Carpet plants need bright light at substrate level across the entire footprint of the tank, edge to edge and corner to corner. When the light falls off toward the glass, the carpet plants in those corners grow slower, then stop, then die back while the center looks healthy. You end up with a lush patch in the middle and a ring of bare substrate around the perimeter. Here is how to check this without any equipment. Turn off your room lights. Put your hand flat on the substrate in each corner of your tank. If the shadow your hand throws is noticeably softer in the corners than it is directly under the fixture, your light is not covering the carpet zone evenly. That is the problem. The practical fix depends on your tank shape. Long, shallow tanks, anything under about 12 inches of water depth, actually suit carpet plants better than tall tanks, simply because the light has less water to punch through before it hits the substrate. If your tank is taller than that, running 2 lights positioned at slightly different angles rather than one single overhead fixture makes a real difference. Spreading the coverage gives you fewer dead zones. And there is a timing element too. Carpet plants need a consistent photo period. That means the same number of hours of light every single day. 8 hours on, 16 hours off, every day without variation. A simple timer costs almost nothing, and it does more for carpet plant growth than most liquid fertilizers ever will. We are about halfway through now, and the part I most want you to hear, The thing about what is happening inside the substrate itself, that is coming up in just a moment. But first, I want to talk about CO2, because this is where a lot of hobbyists get discouraged and quit trying carpet plants altogether. People read that carpet plants need CO2 injection, and they assume that means they cannot grow a carpet without expensive equipment. And that is simply not true. What is true is that carpet plants grow faster and spread more aggressively with injected CO2. The carpet fills in quicker. The color is richer. But some carpet plants can and do grow without it, just more slowly. The plants that handle low-tech setups best are dwarf hairgrass and a creeping plant called Eleucharis acicularis. They are not glamorous, but they are persistent. Monte Carlo can work too in a bright, shallow setup. The plants that really do need CO2 injection to have any realistic chance are dwarf baby tears and glossostigma. If you have been failing with those two in a low-tech tank, that is almost certainly why. If you want a carpet and you do not want the cost of CO2 equipment, match the plant to the method. Pick the right plant for the system you have, not the system you wish you had. Now, about that thing happening inside the substrate. Aqua soil breaks down over time. Every experienced planted tank keeper knows this, but fewer people know exactly what happens when it does. As the aqua soil decompresses, usually somewhere between 18 months and 3 years in, it compacts. The tiny spaces between soil particles collapse, and when those air pockets disappear, anaerobic zones form in the lower layers of the substrate. These are areas with no oxygen movement at all. In those zones, certain bacteria produce hydrogen sulfide as a byproduct. If you have ever disturbed an old tank bed and gotten a smell like rotten eggs, that is exactly what you were detecting. Hydrogen sulfide in the substrate is toxic to plant roots. The roots will die back from below, even when the plant looks fine from above. And here is the part that gets people. The top of the carpet still looks green for a while, because the runners near the surface are still getting some light and the old root network has not fully decayed yet. By the time the carpet visibly melts, the root system has already been gone for weeks. Now I promised you the strangest tip. The one that sounds wrong, but works. Here it is. Every 2 to 3 weeks, take a wooden skewer or a thin chopstick and poke it gently into the substrate in a grid pattern, maybe 2 inches deep, working across the whole carpet zone. Do not disturb the roots or the runners. Just move slowly and carefully. What you are doing is reintroducing small channels of oxygenated water into the substrate. You are disrupting the compaction before it gets bad enough to create those anaerobic pockets. You are venting the substrate the same way a gardener aerates soil. I know what you are thinking. That sounds like a great way to uproot everything you have planted. And yes, you do need to be careful. Move the skewer at an angle rather than straight down, and avoid areas where you can see dense runner networks. But done gently, this single habit, a few minutes every couple of weeks, extends the life of a carpeted substrate dramatically. It is the one thing I tell every person who has ever asked me why their carpet died after a year and a half. Because a year and a half is almost exactly when the compaction starts winning. Pair that with one final habit, and you are giving yourself every possible advantage. Do partial water changes weekly. Not because the parameters are bad, do it because surface movement and fresh water introduction keeps dissolved oxygen levels high, and that oxygen is constantly working its way down toward the substrate. A tank with regular water changes has a measurably healthier root zone than one left undisturbed between monthly changes. Even a 20% change twice a week is better than a single large change once a month, if carpet plant health is your goal. Keep your filter intake positioned to create a gentle flow across the substrate surface. Not a storm, just enough movement that you can see the tips of the carpet plants swaying slightly in the current. That movement brings oxygen down. It sweeps away debris that would otherwise settle into the carpet and block light at the base of the plants. It keeps the carpet cleaner and the substrate healthier without you doing anything extra at all. And one last thought. Be patient with melting. When carpet plants are first planted, they almost always go through a transition period where the leaves that grew immersed, above water in the nursery, begin to die off as the plant converts to submersed growth. This can look like failure. The old leaves yellow and melt away. But underneath, if the substrate is right and the light is right, the plant is rebuilding. New submersed growth will appear, lower and often smaller than the original leaves. Give it 3 to 4 weeks before concluding that a carpet has failed. Many tanks that look like a disaster at week 2 are thriving carpets by week 6. The substrate, the light coverage, the plant choice, the oxygen, the slow, gentle aeration of the root zone. Those are the 5 things. Fix those 5 things and a carpet plant stops being the hardest thing to grow and starts being one of the most satisfying. So here is what I am curious about. Are you growing your carpet in a full CO2 setup or keeping it low tech? And if you have lost a carpet before, what do you think got it in the end? Tell me below. I genuinely want to know.